Okay.
I don't think I read RT's Twitter on that. It seems like a stupid thing to say. I, at the time, I think posted on that issue on the Minneapolis forum of edemocracy.org, and I didn't have much to say because I didn't know enough about what happened really to say anything about it, except it seemed pretty darned obvious that there was a failure in the way that the police of the Minneapolis Police Department on the scene handled that situation. There was some sort of lapse in protocol, however they handle those things, and that was pretty obvious. I think as far as dealing with the aftermath of it, basically you just have to let those things play out. And I think jumping to the defense of the police department before the facts are in is just a stupid thing to do, and hopefully I would not, and any of the candidates here would not, as mayor, do such a stupid thing. Regardless of, or that's not a word, regardless of our stupidity tonight. Here, Bob, say something smart.
A lot of pressure there. I am not here to defend R.T. Ryback. I'm not here to say I would do what he would do. I'm saying that I am never afraid to take a position that I think is right. And I am not afraid to take a strong position when it is warranted. And I can't say I know all of the facts in that situation, but I've always been the kind, especially since I've been in government, not to call it the way I see it and take that kind of a strong position.
Well, I've been in politics for 35 years. I've run 13 campaigns and 25 years as DFL and about maybe about 5 years as a Republican now. So I consider R.T. Ryback a friend of mine, and Dolan, the former police chief, was a friend of mine also. And the issue is there's a lot of different things for mayor and police chief and many different issues that they have to handle, and they have done, I consider, a very good job. And there's going to be always a few different issues that come up that people just say there's certain things, and I'm not sure what he meant by that, R.T. Ryback. But overall, I think he's been a good governor. Mayor. The governor is Mark Dayton, another friend of mine, so I got to leave him out of this. But the point is, we have to all work together, even these candidates, to make a better Minneapolis mayorship. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes I do doubt my courage and my ability to work with people. However, as I understand it, the mayor's office gets to hire or appoint assistants and advisors. And I would appoint or hire assistants or advisors that feel the same way as I do about making the city a better place. And I believe that united we stand would be the motto.
I'm proud of the fact that in the course of this campaign, I've demonstrated candor on every subject. Let me digress for 1 second to illustrate the point. It's really nice to be here this evening with folks I haven't shared the debate stage with. I'm not in charge of inviting other people to other debates, but it's just a statement of fact that often I'm with another group of folks on debate stages. And on those debate stages, I call it like I see it. And when I see nonsense and BS and people trying to pull the wool over others' eyes and pander, I say so. There are no sacred cows for me. And that's the approach I would bring to restoring trust in our police department and any number of other issues. And so I've said candidly, the vast majority of Minneapolis Police Department officers are brave, great people. And then there are some really rotten eggs that we need to work on. And we need to make sure we create a culture where the good is policing the bad, and either getting them the help they need or showing them the door. On the issue of a given tweet, I'm in business right now. If some of my employees, God forbid, were shot, yeah, I'd be on Twitter in a heartbeat. I'd go visit them in the hospital. I'd say, I hope you recover. And so if officers are shot, I'm going to wish them well. And then, yeah, really quickly, I'm going to want to get into the facts of exactly what occurred in the given situation. But even in the brief time here, I hope it's coming through that I call it like I see it, and I always will. And in fact, I think I'm one of the few people, I'm not saying amongst this stage here, but in the other debate stages where I often am, by far I'm the person with the most candor, willing to call it like I see it.
So I guess in this situation, yeah, I too, if I had employees that were injured on the job, I too would be interested in publicly saying that I stand in solidarity with those individuals. However, I would immediately call for an independent review of the situation and make that review available to the public. And I don't actually know if that was the case in this situation. I don't think so. It's not really a city that's known for its transparency, honestly. I think Minneapolis actually got a D+ in transparency, or D- in a transparency review. But to speak to if I would try to bring people around me that would be able to advise me, I would be interested in having every single precinct in Minneapolis, I believe there's 118, to have a precinct organization that would be interested in meeting together, town hall meeting style, and to bring up issues like this and, you know, talk amongst each other about what the main issues are in each precinct, and then have an individual or a group of people meet with me and tell me what is happening in the city, what's the most important issues in your little community, so that we can bring it to the city stage and actually deal with those issues.
Well, the R.T. Ryback quote suggests that he was giving a signal to the police officers that, you know, they would be taken care of like they usually are. There hasn't been a prosecution of police for killing a black person in, I don't know, maybe ever. It's never happened, right? Yeah, I mean, police just don't face prosecution. What happened with Terrence Franklin is you know, pretty outrageous. You know, the autopsy reports do suggest that there was something going on that, you know, the police officer's story doesn't match what the forensic evidence. And, you know, the county attorney, Mike Freeman, I mean, he's, you know, let's see, there was the gang strike task force where they were engaged in all kinds of stuff. I mean, he was shredding documents, you know. So anyway, yeah, these politicians like Ryback, of course, you know, don't want to pick fights with you know, people who support him, and you know, that's part of the issue. I'm sure he's had the, you know, police union support and so forth.
On this instance, I believe that the police chief was correct in saying, I can't comment on this until all the facts are in, and it went to a grand jury. Now, Mayor Ryback, if he was commenting on it for whatever reason, I don't know. In the Southwest Journal, I gave Ryback a grade of F. So, you know, I have no respect for him, and God bless him. Move to Washington, D.C.
This should be the finale here, I understand. Anyway, I certainly don't have problems telling it like it is. If anything, I do it too much. And so the thing is, politics are important. And where Ryback should have, obviously, as people have said, he should show support for police without making any sort of implication that one side or the other is correct. And they should have done investigation immediately. So, yeah, all I can say is, yeah, courage is important. Politics is important too, though. You need to give the right message, give a fair hearing before anything really happens. And as was Bill had said, this Bill, that in the few hours afterwards, we really had no idea what the situation was. It was time for the police to do an investigation, which is not what they did. They need to do investigation as if they were not police in the same manner, and they didn't do that. And so that was the problem. And I didn't know, I never heard about this tweet before, and that was a dumb thing for him to do. But I don't know. I don't know if I blame Ryback for that. He's just, people do stupid things sometimes. But so I don't know if it was a matter of courage or not. It's hard to say. I guess that's it.
Well, before we have final statements, are there any media people? We did say we would allow time for media questions. If there is any media left.
CCO's gone.
CCO's gone? Okay.
Well, maybe that will hold him here till the end.
That's good.
So what we have remaining is we've allotted 90 seconds, a minute and a half each for concluding statements from each candidate, and we'll just continue in that tradition.
Well, maybe it should go in reverse order. Everybody's used to following the person before.
Oh,
Maybe
man.
go down the reverse order.
Can't deal with that kind of stuff.
Dave, that's too
A
complicated.
curveball.
I'm here for simplifying government.
Yeah, right. But it's not simple to get there.
That's true.
My name is Gregg Iverson, like I explained before. Been in public service my whole life, military, Air Force, Vietnam. I've been an educator, and I've worked at state government at MnDOT. I really think that the best person that we can have for a mayor is one who's careful in his thoughts and unerring in his judgments. We've just talked about some examples here where maybe R.T. Ryback wasn't the best. I've also stated that I think the school board is elected, and they're elected to do the job of running the schools. If I were the mayor, I guess I would have the superintendent, and we could go out to lunch and talk some things over. There are some things the mayor can do to make sure that after-school activities happen regularly, and that parents can be involved. I think parents are a big involvement in our schools. We can't make schools like factories where we put in Toyota parts and Cadillacs come out the other end. It's just not going to happen. Schools can't solve everyone's problems, and that's a fact. So I'm in favor of more police training. I want to thank everybody for inviting us here tonight. I want to apologize to the women in the audience because I think the League of Women Voters has done the worst job of having debates of any organization, and I've emailed them my thoughts.
I first ran for public office, was the school board, and I ran because I saw some injustice in the schools. We had a situation, and we still have it, where students of color are overexposed to inexperienced teachers and watered-down curriculum. And I've long been advocating a solution being to, stop firing and replacing teachers during the probationary period and eliminate the watered-down curriculum tracks. Fairly simple. And, people seeking the DFL endorsement say, I agree with you, but, there's no way in hell you can get, endorsed by the DFL by running on a platform like that. But, those are issues. So I'm conversant with school issues because I've run for the school board 8 times now. And I started out as a member of the NAACP and served on the Education Advocacy Committee, and I've been really studying issues about institutional racial discrimination in the schools and outside of the schools. And I've devoted a lot of the last 15 years to that, and that's one area that I want to focus on as mayor of Minneapolis.
Once again, my name is Kurtis Hanna. Thanks for everyone for putting this debate on and for coming out today. I'm in favor of government transparency, number one. I think that all city data should be published by default in open data standards so that we can take this data, make our own graphs, make our own understandings of what is happening. Secondly, I'm against any sort of wireless surveillance done by federal agencies, other countries, our county, our state. So I would stick up for the citizens that live in Minneapolis and try to help put an end to that. I'm in favor of liquid democracy, which means that the citizens themselves will be able to vote on policies that they think should be the political agenda, instead of having 14 people down at a big building downtown decide how we live our lives and how we are ruled. I'm also in favor of every single Minneapolis citizen getting a free poodle, whether they like it or not. And I believe that we should bring a Disneyland to Minneapolis because everyone deserves to have a picture with Mickey Mouse. And lastly, I believe in the rule of law. I think that we should follow the Constitution, follow the federal Constitution, the Minneapolis Constitution, the city charter, and we should apply it all equally and have some justice in this city for once.
From Cam Winton. Thank you to everyone for coming out this evening. It really has been a great airing of views and exchange. Quick shout out to the timekeeper. The best timekeeper is a timekeeper you don't even realize is there. You nailed it. Talk to Gregg's Legal Women Voters Center. So I respect the viewpoints that have been shared, and I respect the mayoral council and the efforts that so many have undertaken in the course of this unusual campaign to share their views of how our city can prosper. And I know sometimes when we're thinking big about what we want our city to be, it can sound heretical. It can sound down in the mud to talk about winning, to talk about how do you actually win and get in power to enact these visions that we're talking about. But let me talk about that. I can win this race. There are about 4 people that the polling or the fundraising or any other metric would show you can win. Not just fly a banner, but become the next mayor and enact the changes we want to see. I'm the first to say that if we all went around the room as we've done tonight, we won't all agree on everything, and I guarantee each of you as you sit there that there's something big that you disagree with me on. Okay. But I also betcha that there are a lot of things we do agree upon. For example, most importantly to me, the need to create ladders of opportunity for every single person in this city through a great school system, job opportunities, and a fair balance between taxes and services. I'm not coming from the insider clique, and I ask for your first choice vote. And if I can't earn your first, I'll take your second or your third. I'm Cam Winton. Thank you.
Well, my name is John Wilson, and I'd like to see Minneapolis become the greatest city in the world. I know that's a tall order, and probably something that's beyond the reach of any mayor. But I just believe that that's what we need, and I'd like to see every citizen engaged in this process. And if you can't give me your first choice vote, please give me your second. Thank you. Take me out, John.
My name is Ole Savior, and when someone wants to be everything to everybody, just to get the first and second, third vote. You know, some people are this way with this mayorship. Some want to be Democrats. One person I'm talking about, he tries to influence the Democrats, the Republicans, the Libertarian, Constitution Party. We don't know what party. He actually claims to be an independent. And I looked up in the dictionary what independent means. It means no party. And Cam Winton claims to be everything to everybody, and I think he's a fraud. Honestly, when he's not very honest, he's not integrity, and the issue comes right down to it. I have filed a campaign practice issue against him because he's supposed to have a booth at the state fair. He did have a booth at the state fair. He got publicity from the Star and Tribune, probably 200,000-300,000 people. You know, that's fraud. And when he turned around and they were issuing the maps and they were issuing all the candidates with booths, he had no booth. And so at my campaign, I'm going after him because I think he's dishonest. And, you know, he knows I know that. And he knows I say that right directly to him. So,
I asked for 4 seconds at some point to respond to that nonsense.
4 seconds.
It's not nonsense, it's true. I love for you.
Okay, anyways, I'm not gonna talk about other candidates other than to thank everybody here, because it's been sort of a pleasure to get to see all these candidates that I don't get to see. And interesting to listen to them, and they're real people, and, you know, it's really been too bad. I know what it's like to sort of be shut out, because I've been shut out from a number of forums myself. You know, I started in politics, basically volunteering government on the Civil Rights Commission, where I'm almost 2 decades. I'm the longest serving Civil Rights Commissioner in the history of the city. I've been coaching kids 39 years, got pushed by a ton of people to run for the park board, got on, have served 16 years. I think I've made great contributions to the city, changed our park system, you know, and I looked at this race and decided I'm jumping in for mayor because I believe I can make the difference and I can change the way government works. My theme has been, wouldn't it be nice if the city ran as efficiently and provided such a high level of service as our renowned park system. We have the best park system in the country. It makes a difference in why people live in the city of Minneapolis. I believe I can win this race. I am the only candidate of 35 who has won citywide. I currently represent everybody in the city, and I believe I can win this race. I would ask that if you don't make me your first choice, that you consider me for your second or third, because it could make a difference in the ranked choice voting. And now I'll give it to my new friend.
Thank you, Bob.
Maybe third.
I'm Bill Kahn, and the worst possible thing that could happen to me in my life would be becoming the mayor. I really regret violence. However, I did have something to say, and so I had to file. So here I am, and you know, since I was a little kid, I thought Minneapolis was the greatest city in the world. I really did, and I've been coming here since before I was born. My mother was raised here, and then you know, I grew up. I got older, and I decided to move here, and I learned different. We are not the greatest city in the world, but we could be. I think Mr. Wilson's right about that. I tend to look at things from an ecological perspective, evolutionary ecology to be specific, and our government is adaptive from the U.S. Constitution right through to our charter. We can change things. And that's what I want to do, because I don't think our present form of government works. I want to see a council-manager system of government. I'd love to see the council changed, and I think it would be good for the city, and we could make real improvements.
Should we vote for you, Bill?
vote for me third or not at all. Hopefully, the rest will be eliminated, me with them, and you'll make a statement.
I like not at all.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, my turn? Okay. I'm Mark V. Anderson, running for mayor, and my theme has been simplified government, but I'll cover the police since that's what this forum's really about. And there's 3 issues that I want to talk about. First of all, I do think that every police should have a camera on their chest. We do need to figure it out. And there was a thing in the paper yesterday, and they had some skepticism, and maybe we should look into it before we finalize it. But I think it's a good idea, and I did steal this from Cam Winton from a previous debate, but I think it's a great idea.
Either way, it's a good policy.
The second issue is the transparency, and I agree with everything that Kurtis Hanna said about transparency, that we need to know what's going on in the police department. And, in my example, in the May 10th incident, I didn't mention the transparency because I ran out of time. They should have done a study, and then every interview that the police had should be open, and all the discussion should be open so that the people can see what's going on, and not just through a grand jury. God only knows what they did in the grand jury, because they're not telling us anything. And so, and I think transparency not only will help us against things like brutality, but will actually help the police in policing, because the people in the community will support them if they really understand what's going on. And the third thing is the professionalism of the police. We need to increase the professionalism of the police. And again, my example was in the May 10th incident, where they need to treat issues that the police have caused the same as if they were not police. I'm not saying the police were necessarily wrong, but we don't know, and they should have found out. Thank you.
I do ask for my 4 seconds. Somebody can call me an ugly idiot, and I don't care. But if you attack my integrity, I do feel the need to take 5 seconds to respond. So, God, 5 seconds. It was on the front page of yesterday's Star Tribune that I'm a Republican. I've never tried to hide that fact. I'm a pro-marriage equality, pro-wind power Republican. I believe in changing institutions from within. This is a nonpartisan race. I haven't sought the endorsement of any party, so I'm on the ballot as an independent. And I did have a booth at the State Fair for 2 days until the State Fair lady said that it was soft-sided, not hard-sided. Therefore, we had to take it down, so we did, and we got our money back. Honest engine. End of story.
So why are you listening
Okay,
to
slowly, let's get,
independent?
until the very end, it was very easy to police this group. And I really appreciate that on the part of all of you, that you stuck to your time limits, were very concise, I thought, and said things worth hearing in many cases. Thanks for coming. I think there's still some food back there, and there's no more food? Well, let's get out of here. Thank you. Thanks for coming.